It's no secret that the United States is deeply divided.
No.
Sure, but while we think typically of these divisions as left versus right, progressive versus conservative, the fight within the Republican Party has been on full display lately. And the fight may get even louder as candidates prepare to jump into the 2024 presidential race.
NPR's
Do you know why it's only the fight against the Republicans? Because the Democrats have been shown, no matter whether you are progressive or you are an establishment, you are all part of the same thing. All of these people are all part of the Uniparty, but we have seen over the last 2 years, 4 years, however long the Democrats were in control, they're all shills together.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
AOC and the part or the
they converted the squad, man.
Yeah, they say what they want on the internet, and they all vote for her shit, for Pelosi's shit in the end anyway. So they're all part of the same fucking shifty, shitty, grifting party. It's all that's all nonsense. The whole jam is one uniparty, but the Democrats, there really is no one fucking breaking rank in there.
And the red flag term that they all used is we are unified as a party on this.
Precisely.
Yeah, uniparty.
Yes.
Uniparty.
Yeah, we could discuss and debate all day how honest the people, the detractors in the Republican Party are. Yeah. But there's no question that the Democrat Party, they're all pieces of shit. They're all pieces of shit. But yeah, no, the Democrats, like you said, unified
just
as a party.
Different brand of
on
it,
everything.
You know? Yeah.
We are 222 or whatever, fucking ride or die. But yeah, it's not good. Yeah.
I like them to all get tattoos because then they'd always just constantly be changing.
Danielle Kurtzleben is here to talk about what this says about the direction of the GOP. Danielle, remind us what kind of fights are taking place in the Republican Party right now.
So there was, of course, that prolonged fight over the speakership, the one that took 15 votes. And relatedly, there is a question of raising the debt ceiling, what the conditions might be for that. And also this week, current RNC chair Ronna McDaniel has faced a challenge for who is going to even lead the party next.
Just got reelected.
Now, all of this has led to these conversations in columns, op-eds, among us journalists also about, okay, what does it mean to be conservative? And one person who raised this is Charlie Sykes.
He's because NPR is going to be able to figure it out,
that's
right?
That's part of this whole thing that I absolutely love. When when NPR tries to talk about the GOP or conservatism, that's like, how many times do you say, like, tell me you don't know anything about guns without telling me you don't know anything about guns, okay? Like, you guys are not the people to be having this conversation. Yeah. But we got a guy from the Bulwark to come in and talk to us.
Everyone listen and let NPR tell you what it means to be conservative.
Yeah.
Conservative radio host. And he's now the editor-in-chief at the right-leaning The Bulwark.
I understand the whole idea of fiscal conservatism, but then basically saying, yes, let's push the country toward debt default. In what world is the refusal to pay your credit cards considered a conservative act?
So for
pause. Okay. All right. So did you see the spin? Right? Did you see the spin? Because at first he talked about the debt ceiling, right? Pushing the country closer to debt default. Right, so that's what he's talking about is the debt ceiling, because that's what's up right now. Jenny Yellen's pissing her pants. Everybody's freaking the fuck out. We're going to run out of money. We can't take any more debt. And then he says, not paying your credit card bills. Those two things are not connected, right? The debt ceiling has to do with how much debt this country can incur, not paying off our debts.
No.
That's not what we're talking about. No, that's not what anybody's talking about. Not even the Freedom Caucus, the detractors. They're just talking about reducing overall spending, which is a positive thing, right? But this guy's talking about not paying our debts. We're not paying debts regardless. We're never paying back that $30 million ever.
No, we pay interest on it.
It's never going to happen. Never happening. The best we can hope for at this point is to cut back spending, which is what the Freedom Caucus is asking for.
Yes.
This guy's fucking gaslighting you through NPR.
And to actually make his credit card analogy valid to what he's talking about with the debt ceiling, it's not paying your credit card bill. You're talking about two different things now, right? Because, like you said before, we don't pay off our debt. We pay the interest on the debt. That's the only thing that we pay for at that point, right?
Hope to do.
But really what it means in the analogy of credit cards like that, and to bring it to a personal level, is it's not you not paying your credit card debt. It's you continually increasing your credit limit on your credit card as you continue to spend every month.
Yes.
Because you keep getting closer and closer to your limit. That's what increasing the debt ceiling is.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with the payments of your credit card. It is it's everything to do with taking out more and more and more and more credit cards. So he's
Precisely,
already
Joseph.
gaslighting you because he's not talking about the same thing.
Yes.
He strategically put in an analogy so that his train of thought can be disconnected, and then he could start to talk about something completely different because he's talking about debt ceiling. Now he's talking about making a credit card payment. Now he can just say whatever the fuck he wants because it's an unrelated topic again. He's not in the same realm of conversation.
And it's going to bridge. It's going to bridge with its audio clip they have from Hakeem Jeffries.
Yes.
So let's continue, and because
Hands in
they
the
run
party
with it.
like
It's good.
him. This is all further confirmation that traditional conservative principles like the free market, like fiscal restraint, that those have just been eroded.
Fiscal restraint.
Now, this
like
all
cutting
seems
back
like
spending.
interesting.
That's literally fiscal restraint, right? Restraining your fiscal fucking whatever, the active form of fiscalist, right?
Yeah.
Money. Restraining your money. Spending less money.
Yeah. Don't go to Starbucks every day.
Yeah, you guys have listened for a while now. I'm not a fucking Freedom Caucus guy, but I mean, you're lying about it. Like, you're not being honest, and that's what we do here. If anything, that's what we do. We're being honest about shit. This is complete and utter lies. This is blatant disregard for the truth.
And I don't know if the Freedom Caucus comment or not, right? This guy, the Bulwark, if you guys do not know what that is essentially just one step removed from the Lincoln Project. These are like conservatives that they're like the old school neocon, big government, big spending type of Republicans.
Deal.
Those type of cats, Jonah Goldberg type of people. You know what I mean? They're of that realm.
Philosophical argument, but it's just an argument. How do you know how a philosophy is changing?
That's a very good question. And so a couple of political scientists named Daniel Hopkins, he's at the University of Pennsylvania, and Hans Knoll, he's at Georgetown, they tried to measure this. Now, what they did is
they tried to measure it. We're going to measure how conservative you are because that works.
It's the science, bro. This
because
is the political science.
Because political science is super legit, right? We all know how real a political science career is.
So we're going to get 2 tenured professors from state universities that they'll tell us what's up. We got to go to the experts for this stuff.
Yeah, you know what you learn in political science, fucking college? Statistics about old elections and shit.
Yeah, that's
trends and
sounds
fucking,
like a good degree.
Yeah,
surveyed a
gerrymandering.
bunch of party activists about how they see lawmakers. So who's liberal, who's conservative, who's moderate. And what the researchers found is that even lawmakers with conservative voting records, when they opposed Trump, they were seen as more moderate. Now, former Senator Ben Sasse was one example of this.
Sassy
give
pants.
you some more current examples, Liz Cheney might be one. She's a Trump critic and the most prominent Republican who was on the January 6th committee.
Liz Cheney.
And
That's okay. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this is the threshold they're using. They're like, they even said that Liz Cheney's a fucking rhino. Liz Cheney's barely even a Republican. I mean, she's literally in name only at this point. And I don't know what else to call her.
She's a private citizen now.
Yeah, you can say that's a weird alt-right term or whatever if you want. I mean, that's quite literally what she is in name only.
Yep.
They do not accept her in the party because she doesn't have any stances that belong with that other than things that NPR would align with traditional conservatism, and that's why they are saying she's still a Republican. Like, well, she doesn't want us increase Social Security spending. Well, goddamn, like, fucking look at you, you are conservative as shit. Come on, man.
I can tell you that out on the trail, Republicans told me that she was a rhino or a Republican in name only.
You laugh.
I do want to add here that not everyone cares all that much about this argument. I talked to Ashley Hayek. She's head of the pro-Trump group America First Works. And she said that, yes, she sees Trump as conservative, but that your average voter just doesn't care about all of this, about the definition of conservatism.
Okay, then why does it matter?
Part of it is that there is evidence that Trump is losing his grip on the party, that he may have a real challenge getting the nomination in 2024, for example. And so that raises another question. If he's at the center of what people think is conservatism, and if he fades, then what is the ideology of his party? Now, I talked to Michael Steele.
It doesn't matter, because if you're paying attention, then like we have fucking been talking about this whole time, it's all uniparty. They're all part of the same shit. So of course you don't care what anybody says. If you care about based freedom, then you're also sometimes agreeing with like Ro Khanna and shit.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. That's why it doesn't matter what you're calling yourself, because if you're going to say actually things that are actually aligned with freedom and liberty, and you're really going to be based and moral based on those lines, then I'm gonna be down with you. You know, I don't care. That's why it doesn't matter.
Allegiance to the party.
No,
and I think that's the biggest thing that they're missing here. They're talking to these political scientists and this and that and the other thing, and they're like, okay, well, if you're in this camp, then you believe in this platform or this giant ideological grouping they call conservative, when realistically every single one of those people is an individual and may or may not have different ideological views. And as we know, there's only a very, very, very small handful of people that will actually act according to their ideology.
Yes.
And that's like what you said with like the Ro Khanna thing. Sometimes they can be completely separated on all these issues except for this one issue that comes up, which they have based views on because of like liberty and freedom in this particular aspect or that particular aspect. Assuming that like you have to have a certain set of views to call yourself a conservative and then base those views off of personalities like Donald Trump, who was a Democrat until he ran for president, essentially, is not a good way to get a measurement on a fucking scientific measurement on people's like ideological standing within a party.
Right.
It's all fucking party politics. There's no realistic conversation here.
He's the former RNC chair. He worries that the GOP simply has no ideology right now. He pointed out that the GOP didn't adopt a new platform in 2020.
That is so precisely the point, Joseph. That is so precisely the point. That he's not. But NPR is still using Trump as a bellwether as a
well, if he's the standard for conservatism,
yes.
It's like he's not, bro.
Yes, as a measuring post for what conservatism is, and that's not even a little bit the truth.
Like, we can have an argument, I think we talked about it at some point a few weeks ago or a few shows ago, but like he might be the bellwether, the poll for the standard kind of path the party is going to go down.
The Republican Party.
But not as a conservative.
Yes.
This is the guy that spent damn near the most money ever before. He's he put out the vaccine. He shut down the country for 2 weeks, or he let the country be shut down for 2 weeks. I mean, go down the list, bro. He's not a conservative, period. He might have some conservative values.
Fauci. Like, there's all kinds of things that he didn't do. He didn't roll back any of these executive branch departments. He allowed more action against the Second Amendment than Obama did.
Yeah.
And Obama was the president when fucking Sandy Hook happened.
Yes.
So what are we really talking about?
Not a conservative.
No.
But bellwether for the
Republican.
GOP.
Yeah. God, I'm so glad.
We don't even have a platform. How do we define ourselves? We can't even tell you what we believe. Everybody talking about Liz Cheney is a conservative. Yeah, Liz is a conservative on a lot of things, but Liz got herself kicked out of the party.
And one thing he added is that he sees an increasing focus in the conservative movement on negative politics, that a lot of people right now identify not with what they believe,
because they don't
but
do
with what they
anything
don't.
positive.
So
that's
they
because
maybe
the Republican
care about
Party
being conservative.
only is negative politics. That's all they have is the Democrats are shit. What they're doing is terrible. I'm not going to let my country go to this. I'm not going to let this happen. But they don't have any actual solutions to anything.
No.
All they have is obstruction. And that's why the only thing they really have now, outside of the Freedom Caucus, is investigations. That's all they have. We're going to look into all of this shit. Not we're going to roll things back, or we're going to, the IRS funding, they know they're not going to get through, right? They're not going to be able to roll that back. It's only people, and goddamn, I hate to give them credit, fucking people like Matt Gaetz are like, listen, I'm going to introduce a bill to just completely abolish the ATF because we don't need this shit here.
Yep.
And if we're going to be in power, we should be trying to do things that are actually going to make change here.
Yeah. And at this point,
Kevin McCarthy's like, yeah, fuck that. We're not doing that. That's crazy. Why would we do something like that? Because what the fuck are they doing? They're turning millions of people into felons in 120 days.
Yes.
Right? We've got clips coming out all week about this type of shit.
Yeah. And there's I hate to give that old like phrase too much credit, but it's the old adage is, what is a conservative? A conservative is standing in front of progressivism and saying slow the fuck down or something like that, or it's a speed bump along the road or something like that. Right. It's like there's no actual there's no plan to do anything, because the only plan as far as to stay ideologically true would be to like cut back on the government. And that is something that none of these people are actually willing to do, except for maybe a few people. But then again, that's like when you can't be done, it gives you the freedom to be like, well, I'm going to say this thing because it's it's based, even though I would never actually do it if it was realistic.
Right.
But who knows?
But they definitely care about not being seen as liberal.
NPR's Danielle Kurtzleben. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
that's all
thank
they
you.
have. That's
all they got.
That's all the Republicans have. I agree. We can pause this. I agree with you, Kevin.
Say the question real quick.
Yeah, Kevin's question is, how is the ATF turning millions of people into felons with this pistol brace ban? I ask because the ATF doesn't make laws. That's the job of Congress. I say that because if this is allowed to be enforced while it's in the courts, those people are effectively felons. And if they turn it into an NFA item, which is what they're going to be able to do if they're allowed to enforce it, like the wide open trigger thing, right? They turned that into an item that's covered by the NFA. That's an NFA item now. So they've said, if we, in the videos that we've showed, if we find out that you have this item, then we're going to come back and we're going to arrest you because it's an NFA item, and if you don't have a Form 1 for it, then you're in possession of an NFA item and you're breaking a felony law, a federal law.
Yeah.
That is how. I agree with you.
Because, technically it is the Congress's fault for allowing them to maintain this power.
It's the enforcement structure that the executive branch and Congress's inactivity has given the ATF. They have been allowed to do things like this since, and here it is, fucking Ruby Ridge, Waco, like this. These were enforcing federal gun laws.
I've heard a lot of Ruby Ridge talk lately over the last couple of weeks.
Yes,
for various reasons regarding this.
Right. So I agree with you. The way that it should work, the ATF should not have the ability to turn people into felons overnight, and they don't. The legitimacy, and that's part of what I said, and like I put a clip out today. That's part of what I said in there is that that authority is not legitimate, but the way that they are able to go about enforcing it is given force through the executive branch and can only be given legitimacy if we comply with it. Yeah. Right. So that's a very delicate thing. I hope that makes sense the way that I explained it. It's illegitimate, but because they are a law enforcement branch of the federal government, they are the boot of the state, and we have seen that they will stomp down on you regardless of what color you are, what creed you have, what you believe in. So
whether or not they legitimately have the power,
they'll
constitutionally, they'll still come to your house and throw you in a box or kill you.
Right.
Like that doesn't stop them from doing that, like much of the various executive branches do.
Precisely.
Okay, so we're done with that one. Now we're going to get into the fun one, the Rona one, I think, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
In the House of Representatives, Democrats hope to take advantage of GOP divisions.
Republicans have yet to raise the federal debt limit, demanding budget concessions from President Biden before they do. The new leader of the House Democrats says that won't be necessary.
Hakeem Jeffries of New York tells Stephen Skeep he expects to attract a few votes from the other party and avoid economic calamity.
We cannot pay that ransom note, and we will find a vehicle legislatively. We will be able to, at the end of the day, convince a handful of reasonable Republicans in the House to do what the business community throughout America have suggested needs to be done, which is to make sure we pay America's bills that have already been incurred.
Right.
Economists warn if the
That's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
He's lying. This isn't about paying bills. This is about incurring more debt than we've already incurred. This is about increasing the amount of debt that you can incur, not paying your bills.
I just want a higher credit limit, bro.
Yes.
That's all.
Yes.
But the problem being...
things we've already signed on for because we've already passed a budget that is bigger than the one that we passed last time. That's what he means. That's how we've already incurred it, because we already decided that we're going to spend that much money.
Yeah. So we went from a credit card
to a
ransom note.
Yes. We're holding the country hostage by saying maybe
we're not going to pay our bills.
Something, you know?
Hey, man, the business community wants this, according to Hakeem Jeffries, who, can I just say, I'm very excited about the new season of Congress now that he is the leader of the Democratic Party in the House, because he says some wild shit, even more than Nancy Pelosi ever did. Yeah. I'm very excited about the future here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
If fails to pay its debts, it would cause an economic shock. But Jeffries insists, quote, we're not going to let the car go off the cliff.
The interview will be on Morning Edition and on video at npr.org. The pandemic showed the...
Okay, so just to put a cap on this, right?
Yeah.
There is a hair of truth they're talking about when it comes to not paying the bills, right?
Okay.
Because essentially, if you do not raise your credit card limit and you're maxed out on your credit card,
Right.
you ain't got no more fucking money.
Right.
Now, I'm sure there's a bunch of fuckery that can happen that will make it so that there will be more money.
Yeah.
The U.S. government will ensure, by working with the Fed, that there will always be more money for them to spend, regardless of this arbitrary credit limit that we have on the country.
Like we won't be able to pay the military or fucking. That's not going to happen.
We'll shut down the parks again.
It's not going to happen.
No.
Yeah, they'll close the. They will fuck your life. They're not going to not pay people. That's not. They'll furlough people. They'll send people home. Those people are still going to fucking get checks.
Yeah, they'll
Because
get
as
checks.
we've seen, even if they go fucking 6 weeks without pay, they're going to get back pay as soon as they go. And I'm not even going to go into it. Of course, it's hard to go 6 weeks without pay. Fuck you. You work for the federal government. I don't want to fucking hear the bullshit.
That's right.
This is what you get.
#1 employer in the United States.
This is what you get.
World, what can happen when a dangerous virus starts to spread.
And that's
These
one
pieces
reason
of
the
shit.
government is taking another look at how it regulates some controversial lab experiments on viruses. Officials are meeting with key advisors
segue.
today.
NPR's Nell Greenfield-Boyce is here to fill us in on what this means. Hi, Nell.
Hey there.
So what kind of research is under more scrutiny right now?
Basically, experiments that might make a germ worse, like more contagious or more deadly.
Wait, why would a scientist want to make a virus more deadly, more dangerous?
To understand what viruses are capable of, to get ready in case a virus out in nature mutates. Critics would say, this is risky. You're creating new potential threats. Now,
This is making the argument for gain of function, by the way.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
where have these people been the last couple of years? Did they just live? Oh, I forgot. They did. They just lived in their apartments in New York City and then just watched CNN, where they obviously didn't talk about gain of function.
Right. And they say, why would we do this? Let me
Well,
tell you why.
Actually, back in the day of the Obama eras, we didn't do this.
Right.
For reasons.
debates about this have gone on for years, but a virologist at the University of Michigan, Michael Imperiale, told me that this moment feels different.
I think that the pandemic has really kind of heightened the urgency with which we need to address these issues, just because of all the controversy that's been out there regarding, was this a lab leak or not?
A lot of people are suspicious about a lab in China and whether its activities might have started the pandemic. A government watchdog agency actually just criticized the National Institutes of Health, saying it didn't do enough to monitor what research was done with funding it gave to a group that collaborated with that lab.
So this is a government watchdog group calling out the government for saying, like, why did you allow Fauci to fund EcoHealth Alliance to fund the lab in Wuhan? But, we don't need to listen to the government watchdog group.
Nope.
The government's always right.
What do virologists say about the lab leak theory?
2 virologists.
Well, more than 150 of them have just put out a statement saying, look, open-minded people have investigated the pandemic's origins, and the evidence points to the virus coming from nature. Felicia Goodrum is with the University of Arizona. She says the evidence we have to date suggests that this virus jumped into our species when people had contact with animals, just like other viruses have done in the past, like Ebola and HIV.
There is no evidence to the contrary or in support of a lab leak, nothing credible.
Nonetheless,
that's a fucking lie. That is a fucking lie. That woman, who is apparently a virologist, just lied. There is no evidence of that's a lie.
Yep.
No evidence of a lab leak. That is a fucking lie.
Yeah, I like this. When it came to like the Hunter Biden laptop being Russian disinformation, the number was like, well, we had 51 members of the Intel committee sign off that it's not. We've upped our number now. That wasn't enough. So now we're up to 150. We found 150 virologists now to be like, there's no evidence here whatsoever.
You can be a dumbass and still say it's up for debate if you want, right? That's fine, because there is no definitive answer as to where it came from.
Because it came from fucking China, and we're not going to get any actual answers.
Never know,
right?
We will never know for sure. But there is an awful lot of very good indication that the background research was being done for this virus to be created in that lab in Wuhan. They're talking about, came from, contact with an animal. So we're talking about maybe a fucking animal that was infected with in the lab and someone got scratched or some shit, because I'll buy that they got in contact with it in a fucking lab, right? But not in the wet market down the street from it, unless they're taking the animals and selling them when they're done to the wet market.
Yeah.
That's a lie.
It's so, like, when you can get Jon Stewart on board to make jokes on television in front of Colbert and make him feel very, very uncomfortable.
I'm telling you.
That one, like the city where it originated has one of the 3 fucking research institutes that will do this research around the world. That's the one right next door to the market that they say it came from. But there's obviously no reason to think that that's where it came from.
No, even though we, again, have evidence, legitimate government documents that show us, emails, conversation streams that show us that research was being done, funded by our own government in that facility.
Common sense, right?
Right.
Way to go, Joseph.
Right.
But no, we got 150 people, bro.
And this
scientists will get hit with onerous new regulations.
And not just us. I don't mean just us. I mean people get their news from this, and they listen to this, and they believe it. That's what I'm saying.
It's NPR, bro.
People listen to this.
This is real
Also,
news.
Our fucking tax dollars pay for this fucking shit. That's a whole nother deal.
Yes.
But people listen to this and they get their real news from this. They believe this shit. They don't counteract with anything else that might tell them the fucking truth. This is only one episode of this show.
Yeah, dude.
We
have lots of episodes on this topic.
This is one that got me so fucking upset that I had to talk about it because the whole thing was filled with lies. We just went
above
over
average.
The whole episode almost, and it's all lies.
Yes.
Slow down research that's important for developing stuff like vaccines and drugs.
Does it seem like
Vaccines
the government
and
will
drugs.
put new restrictions in place?
The White House and lawmakers in Congress have certainly been paying attention. Officials asked some outside advisors to weigh in. It's a group called the National Science Advisory Board for Biosecurity, and it's put together some draft recommendations that basically call for expanding an existing oversight system so that a broader range of experiments would get a special risk-benefit review.
So how are scientists...
I should also add, too, that when I mentioned that when this type of research was deemed to be way too dangerous and stuff like that, so we're not going to do it. We can only control it at our borders, right? So we shut it down during the Obama era. So no more doing this. During the Trump administration, it was allowed to relapse. Hence, you can do it in the States again. Pfizer, which we'll get into in a minute. A lot of people blame Trump for that, by the way, like Luke Gronkowski and shit, who's, thank God, happily on his way down to Florida and no longer on IRL as a regular right now.
Yeah.
He's doing his seasonal retreat down south.
Right.
But his stance is like, well, fucking Trump allowed this stuff to happen. Trump allowed this to happen. The government is a giant place, bro. I don't think Donald Trump even knew what the fuck this situation might have even been. I think
it would be a really interesting debate for another time.
Yeah.
How involved Donald Trump was in his own fucking government, you know?
That would be really fun.
I am not at all trying to remove him from any culpability of anything that happened, because he was the president no matter what.
The buck stops at the top, baby.
Regardless, he was the president.
Yeah.
There was a very interesting and legitimate conversation to be had about how many of those decisions he really actually made, I think.
That's a very good one.
Maybe I should be more specific. Made with full knowledge of what the situation was.
There you go. Good.
Because I think it's probably not that many.
No.
It's reacting to these recommendations.
The American Society for Microbiology has responded positively, although some experts say the devil will be in the details. Like, if regulations talk about a proposed experiment that's, quote, reasonably anticipated to make a pathogen more dangerous, what does reasonably anticipated really mean? I was talking to Tom Inglesby. He's director of the Center for Health Security at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. And he told me, you can take a benign virus and turn it into something awful.
So the government really has a strong interest on behalf of all of us and the public in knowing when researchers want to make a virus more lethal or more transmissible, and in understanding how that would be done, why that would be done, and whether the benefits are worth it.
It's not
But he says
function.
at the same time, you don't want to stifle science that's needed to protect the public health.
NPR's Nell Green.
Oh,
it's really a good thing in the end.
It's a really good thing in the end. Yeah. Well, we listened to it, and so did you.
Yeah. So
usually it's like we listened to it so you didn't have to, but this one was so bad we made you listen to it too.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, Colin here from Salt the Streets. Thank you for watching today's edition of Salty Shorts. If you liked what you saw, please be sure to check out the full episode right here on the Salt of the Streets YouTube channel. Please give us a like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to share this with all your friends, and you too can become a spreader of the message of liberty. Thanks.
Welcome to the Salt of the Streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat everything.